All right, and we are back and live on the old soapbox here. It is April 2nd. We're getting after a new episode here, and we're in the new normal, the new life here. And I just wanted to, hope that everyone and wish everybody is safe and their families are doing well and that we're adjusting appropriately. And what I wanted to do is dive into this episode and really talk about, so 2 weeks ago we did an episode on sort of our quick reaction to what we were doing to the COVID-19 response from our businesses and things like that. Last week we did a podcast on the new routine, and then now what I really want to talk about are, all right, so we're over 2 weeks in, we're in the third week, and it's been announced, at least we're in the Massachusetts area, that all non-essential businesses are going to be closed for the full month, which means we're working from home from the full month. Gyms are closed for the full month, and we have a lot to really figure out and what we want to do and how we want to do it as professionals and people. So I definitely think a few things that it's funny. It's like, I do think I like to put some disclaimers out there. Let's hop on a soapbox real quick of like, I'm really hesitant to tell anyone that there's only one way to do something and that there's the best way to do something. And what I mean by that is I think a lot of people out there in the gym world, affiliate owners, are like, we're doing this, or this is the way to do that. Or it's like, well, no, there's like, if you could have 5 different ways that are effective based off your community or different things to do. So be wary of anyone that tells you this is the only way to do something, because that's something that I just don't agree with. Also, just a personal pet peeve of mine are this massive influx of people that are now giving people all the advice of what to do when now that they're working from home or in this new way of living. And let me tell you, everyone has a different lifestyle, but I will tell you one thing. I've never been a fan of telling someone, well, you won't really know this until you have this or that. And I will tell you, unless you have kids, this is a very different time in life. Anyone that has children and parents are working full time, I just tip my hat to you. And I have one child, and I can't imagine having multiple kids. She's, about a year and a half, almost 2 years old, and it's just like, okay, it's a full-time job just to run around and take care of her and be a good parent. And I really do just want everyone to realize that it's amazing what all of you guys are doing out there. And it's also, what is your capacity and scope? It's like I think everyone realizes that, all right, well, when you show competency in the face of necessity, you realize what you're capable of, or what you were capable of, and where you're only operating at a fraction of your capacity. And I think the answer is yes for most of us. I can tell you that I've worked harder than I've ever worked my whole life the past month. I've been more exhausted and worn down, and just because one of the stress of the unknowns with work and business and all other things, but then also just taking care of a child, and then balancing that with my wife Maren, because she works full time too. It's a whirlwind, and it's crazy, but it's cool what we can get through. And for, it's like, think about single working parents out there, people that, their life is so much busier than mine or yours, and it gives you perspective. And I really just think it's a pretty amazing thing. So when people say, make sure you go take a walk, I just want to be like, yeah, let me tell you something. I ain't taking no walk. Okay, I'm not taking in no breath of fresh air, because I don't have time to do it. I'm super happy with my lifestyle, but it's I do find it a little comical for those of you out there that don't have the understanding, scope, nor necessity to understand what it's like to have kids. But I think the biggest thing is it's survival all day to get your job done, to take care of your kid, to make sure your house doesn't look like it's fully exploded or flipped upside down. So it's definitely something that's pretty special there. But I just want to get on a little soapbox there. So, but I will tell you, just here's the advice I do have: wake up earlier if you want to work out. I personally, I work out at 5 a.m. every day, and it's not like I'm not super excited to wake up at 4:50 a.m. And there are days where I mentally battle myself to not do it because I'm exhausted, but I just know that the way the days are, and if I want to be efficacious and efficient at my job and I want to be good at what I do, I don't have time to work out during the day because I have to watch my daughter. And then when I'm not watching my daughter, I have to work, and I got to put my time in because that's where I'm at. So I think it's one of those things where if I'm going to work out for an hour, then I'm going to work out from 5 to 6 a.m. and here I am, and I can do what I need to do. So I think that's you definitely have to put away the excuses, but you will always battle yourself, specifically in this type of environment where you're up late, your days are exhausting. It's just you're giving it all you have. But let me pivot a little bit and switch gears to the topic I want to talk about in this podcast. Really is just sort of like, all right, well, virtual classes, virtual coaching, and what does that look like, and how do we do it? And I think a few things here that are important is virtual coaching is here to stay. Online coaching is here to stay. And what are some best practices? So a few things. One, just an update, like, with our membership at our gyms and what we're doing, we've tried to communicate with our members. Our goal is to keep as many members as we have by adding a product from online classes. We're doing our Zoom classes multiple times throughout the day, and beyond that, we did a second wave of gear rental as well, and with challenges and engagements and community events, but also understanding that not everyone can do that, but our purpose is to keep our gyms open, and we had to make some really hard decisions with our staff, but we really tried to take care of them and set them up for success, because again, this is not a short game, it's a long game. So we really have tried to put the focus on how can we best take care of everyone today, while we're also going to be able to keep our doors open on the other side of this. So we've done a lot of things to essentially try to keep as much cash in the business, because we know we're not going to, from an operating cost perspective, we're not going to be we're going to be bleeding money just because the revenue has slowed down, but we still have to pay our bills. And then beyond that, another thing that it's really been easy to forget, and it's easy for a lot of gyms to forget, and please don't if you're listening, is remember you have to open up your doors again on June 1st or whatever it might be, and you have to pay your staff. You have to your bills are going to go up, and because presumably you're not paying them now, or paying a fraction of them now. So there is that aspect of it. So I definitely think that it's important for you to think about not only how do you keep your business alive today, but how are you going to transition out of this? So there's different phases. So phase 1 was, okay, we're closing. Phase 2 is the transition to some type of, all right, well, are we going to offer a virtual membership or are we not? Are we going to keep memberships, change memberships, tweak memberships? Are we not? And then phase 3 is now sustaining. It's where we're at. So now we're in phase 3 of, all right, we're sustaining. We've understood the product offering. We have a good idea now that we're in April. What our membership's going to look like, what the cash flow is going to look like. We have a decision of what to do with our staff and our payroll, and then phase 4 is the transition out of that back into gym being open, and then phase 5 is getting back into business as usual. And I think if you look at those phases, right now we're honing a new skill set, which is virtual programming and virtual coaching. And there's a lot of things to think about here. I think that James put up a podcast the other day about he did a podcast with Pat Cummings, and then we also, he did a little post about it. But I think there's a few things you have to think about. One, you have to treat it like it's a class. Like, you can't treat, like, I hear a lot of people like, oh, like Zoom classes, they're stupid or this or that. It's like, I've heard a lot of people say the same thing about coaching people. It's like, and listen, I have a Peloton in my basement, and it's pretty legit. The experience is pretty legit, and I don't think that the individuals that are leading those classes think that it's a joke. They take it seriously, and they do a phenomenal job. And people leave those classes. If I take a class, my wife takes a class, other people, they're talking about their instructors no different than our CrossFitters do. So I think as you take a look at this, it's just you need to lesson plan, right? So we need to have a plan and a prep for your class. How are you going, and not only that, you need to prep your area, so, all right, so half an hour before your class, you're going to be prepping, make sure the tech works all good. You're going to prep your area for any type of prop or whatever it might be. If you're going to write things down, there's all different sorts of functions you can use so people can see the workout. There's, you can prepare. And preparing on Zoom is no different from preparing, or whatever platform you're using. And I think that's really, really important there. So I think preparation is really, if we were to stop right there, then I think most of you guys are not preparing appropriately for your virtual classes. And I would say most of you probably don't prepare for your classes in general based off what we see in the coaching development program. So I think once we're at that point, all right, we're preparing, now what? Well, log in 5-10 minutes beforehand, start saying hi to people, your virtual chest bumps, virtual high fives, all that good stuff. And then from there, it's like you need to have a really good warm up. And these are things, again, I think it all comes back to preparation and preparing, because it's different and it's new for you. So, in all of us, which means you're gonna have a warm up that you can walk them through, that it's fun, not boring, but your movement's gonna be way higher than it was before. You're gonna probably be doing all of these movements with them, walking them through. Demoing a lot, visual cueing a lot, obviously verbal, trying to leverage names as well as fast as you can. And we have to think about it. And then from there, it's like, checking in. Are you ready for different types of scaling options? Equipment's going to be varied. This is, again, all comes back to preparation and your thought process of like, all right, what have you seen? What are you going to be prepared for? What are the check downs, all those types of things for like, all right, well, can they run? Can they not run? Can they have a jump rope, bike, rower, skier? Can they have to do mountain climbers? What are my numbers for all of that? Do you have all of that set and done? And that's something that you definitely need to prepare for beforehand to make your life a lot easier. And then the excitement, like you gotta be big. You have to sort of this education, inspiration, and entertainment piece, which we've always talked about. You have to you have to be a big version of you, because you're passing through this virtual medium into their living room or wherever they're working out. So you really have to be there for them. Your facial expressions, your excitement, your engagement, your checking in. I think you got to be doing these movements with them a good amount. Whether you're doing the whole workout or parts and pieces, I don't think either one's a bad idea. But you definitely need to be moving with them. They need to see you. You're going to be giving them some type of coaching cue. That's why like interaction is great. You can say press up or pull back or touch the back knee or push the knees out, lift the chest up. Because remember, even for anyone, even experienced athletes, a reminder is such a powerful tool as well. So I definitely think that you're on the whole time. And then the creation of the workout, something that we do for our Ham at Home program. For those of you that follow, if not, try it out for a month. It's right now it's $4.99, but the reason why we create a lot of workouts and we create time caps and things like that is because you really do want your people to kind of finish at the same time. So or you do a time cap, which would then allow everyone to be done at some time. But what you don't want to have is you don't have a super control of the scaling options. People might be doing different movements, so you might see a pretty big difference in time domain. But since it's a class, you don't want everyone to just sort of be like looking around waiting. So definitely think about how to set your classes up so that most people are finishing around the same time, so then you can do a nice stretch or cool down, and everyone loves a little after party. And getting super creative with this is important, but also you also don't want, like, you don't fall into the trap of just because you have some type of equipment or tool that they do either. So you have to make sure of that as well, is that, like, because you don't want people running around trying to get things mid-workout or mid-cool-down or accessory work. So make sure that if you are going to ask them to get something, do it in the very beginning of class, in the class notes, maybe when you show them the whiteboard or you show them the brief on sort of the app there. So those are some tools that you can use to really leverage and make it a good class. And then, just hang out a little bit after people are cooling down and stretching. Let them chat a little bit, just like you do in a normal class. But don't overlook the importance of this stuff. And, there's a lot of little things that you can do to get better at it, making sure everyone's muted upon entry. If people, making it clear, hey, if you want to share your screen, that's great. But if you don't want to, that's fine, But, if you want me to see you, give you some stuff, make sure you share your screen with me a little bit, but making sure you want it to be clear that people should feel comfortable, working out. But I know sometimes people like the concept of, I don't want you to see me, I don't want you to hear me, I'm just going to listen to you because you're the coach. And there's nothing wrong with that either. So making sure that you play it that way. Doing disclaimers, just, hey guys, if you're not feeling well, injured, limits, like, hey, I can only do so much virtually, but make sure we have a pain-free range of motion, making sure that you're still doing what we do normally when we coach people in person there. And over time in this now, this phase 3 piece here of, like, okay, we're sustaining this virtual class offering and virtual trainings. Let's get better. Let's really refine this, because I can tell you that we're going to be offering this virtual offering into phase 4 and 5 for us. And I think that it's something that we should expect, that the virtualization of fitness is here, and we just had to expedite it. And I'm really happy to be at the forefront of with our gyms, Reebok, CrossFit One, and One Nation, as well as with the Ham Plan. And hopefully, for those of you that follow that program, it's the Ham at Home program is really, we developed it for this specifically, and we're really happy with how that's going. We're going to keep that growing, and what what we believe is that when we transition back to life as normal, but it will be for sure be a new normal. We're going to see a lot of members that might just have a virtual membership, but also current full-time members might also just want to leverage a virtual membership once in a while, check out a recorded class. So I definitely think we're going to see a lot of that happen, towards the back half of this year. But also, like, if you take a look at the data and what's going to happen out there with this, with the COVID-19, I think that things we need to be prepared for are we going to see limits of gatherings, limits of class sizes in a gym? And I think we will for a long time. So I do think we need to prepare for our business model to be not only changed virtually, but also we're going to be limiting to how many people can be in the gym at one time, which would dramatically affect our business models. And the virtualization of fitness is nice because people can do it from home. But there's so much infrastructure that we need to start to prepare for. We need to prepare for what's coming next, as opposed to just trying to sustain now. We need to micromanage the present while we're also able to foresee the future and get ready for what is next. And that's exhausting to do. But that's definitely where we're at. So I just wanted to give a little love on the virtual classes and some of the best practices and kind of breaking that down a little bit. Lighting matters a lot. So if you have some studio lighting, that really does help. We have we have our studio lights. We have a 55-inch TV that we hook up our computer to, and that's nice because then the computer screen goes onto the TV, then you can see everyone tiled out nicely. And it has to be on a computer because with a phone, even if you AirPlay it to the TV, you only get to see 4. But with a computer, you can tile everyone, so you can see everyone as they pop up. So that's really nice little tactics. So it's easier for you to see everyone than on a small screen. We actually sometimes use two things, where the phone on a gimbal, which is more wide angle, which is actually what streams and the coach and then you put an AirPod in, so that and that's how you actually speak to it. We log in as a participant on the computer, which then allows you to tile everything on the TV. So that's how we do that, which is really nice because it just allows us to have a really good experience. And those are just some of the best practices that we've learned. But we're about 20 minutes in. It's about 6:45 a.m. this Thursday. I'm going to launch this podcast this morning. I definitely hear Haley upstairs waking up. So that is my cue that my time in the morning is now over, and it's now time to get to work and get the babe and start the day, guys. So really appreciate it. We hopped on the soapbox for a good little 20-minute piece here. Work hard, have fun, stay safe. Let's keep evolving. I've said this a few times before, but this period in time will not define us, but it will reveal us. Let's stick together. We will get through this together. Love you guys. Thank you.